What is going on, gaming nerds? Welcome back to Midnight Gaming with Mystic Nightmare, and welcome to Seversky Donets, or donuts, whichever you like to eat. I don't even know what a donut is. I just like to eat donuts. Okay, so to start off with, the very first and most important thing that you absolutely positively need to do when you get here is go up this path right here. Once you get up to the top of this path, you're going to get this little shanty, this little shack, this little store, mom and pop stop up here. This is a bakery. This is the most important thing on this lake or river because it's not a lake. And that is get your bacon. Ladies and gentlemen, get your bacon. This is homemade bacon. I don't know how bacon could be homemade, but this is homemade bacon. You cannot fish with this, unfortunately. You cannot cook with this, unfortunately, but you can get this, you can eat it straight. It's awesome. Also get some of your local bread, good stuff, and you got some alcohol down here if you want a little bit of nighttime rainy weather warming your bodies type of stuff. Most important thing in the game right there. Get your bacon. Get your bacon. Okay, so I've got 3 rods that are laid out down here, and I've got a whole bunch of other rods that are set up for this. We're going into nighttime. It's the nice little evening on Seversky Donets, and I'm probably going to start calling it donuts. Don't worry about it, and don't correct me because it's donuts, because donuts are just better. I'm just saying. All right, so to start off with, Seversky Donets was, when it first came out, it was all about the drifting, basically, and everybody was super excited about it. You'd start up the very top and you'd just drift all the way down the river, and then you go all the way back to the top and you drift all the way down. Then you find little places that you like to drift and you just stick around there. Okay, unfortunately, drifting has kind of gone the way of the dodo. It's gone a little bit extinct. People really don't drift too much anymore, and that is because you can catch the same exact fish you can drifting by float fishing, a little bit of bottom fishing, or jigging. Okay, now I'm going to show you all of the setups that I've got going that you kind of want to use on this river, but this is my favorite place, one of my favorite places to come and do some float fishing, because I have got my float fishing up to where's my float fishing? Up to like 81% now, and this place, this river, started my journey to get up to 80%. Okay, it's a fantastic place to float fish. If anything, come here and float fish if you don't want to do anything else. But it's also a fantastic place to come and start jigging for the first time. You've just come out of Volkhov River, you've opened this up, you're looking at this river going, what is this really? I mean, seriously, you've opened it up. It's a great place to learn how to jig. Okay, so we're going to start doing this. I'm going to start off with talking about the rigs and everything else when it comes down to drifting. Now, the first rig I'm going to go, well, let me put it this way. There's 2 types of jigging. There's 2 types of drifting and jigging. The first type is for larger fish. The second type is light jigging or drifting. Okay, so the first one I'm going to show you is with the Super Duty, and it's basically, do I got another one that has a reel? Okay, so here's a nice little setup. Now, you guys know that I like my Xander fishing. Plain and simple, I like my Xander, I like my Volga Xander. You can catch both of them here, and while you're doing that, you can catch catfish. Now, most of the time, you're going to catch some smaller catfish, around 5-6 kilograms biggest, but I'm warning you right now. Here's your warning, okay? Cat 'em, fish 'em. How do you spell catfish? Catfish. They get big here. They get big. Now, you're probably not going to be hooking into one of these, but just so you guys know, they will bite on night crawlers. Okay? So, and if you're hearing anything listening in the background, that's Merlin, my African gray parrot. Just ignore him. He's heard me talking and is like, you're doing a video? I'm going to interrupt it. Sorry about that. So catfish can get big here, but for the most part, you're not going to really have to worry too much about big catfish. The biggest I caught was like 18 kilograms here, I think, and I've done a lot of fishing here, okay? But for your Xander and your Volga Xander, you can start jumping into a rig like this. Now, why do I have such high kilogram lines? Because you can hook into really big catfish here, and you can catch them. The great thing about this is a river, so you can drive up and down the river, you can chase it down, you can slam it up against the bank and just wait till it tires itself out as you keep it up against the far bank or something like that. So you definitely can do that here, and you can catch those big catfish if you wanted to. But that's why I have a 28 kilogram fluorocarbon leader. That's why I have a nice high 28 kilogram main line, braided line. Now, this isn't necessary. This is a very, very large massive hook. A 2.0 is what I highly suggest, because Volga Xander will bite on these. You can go 1.0, you can go, size 1, whatever you want to do. But I would bring this down to probably about a 28, maybe even lower, because you don't need this when you're actually drifting. When you're jigging, yes. When you're on the bank and you're jigging, then yes. But when you're drifting, you don't actually have to worry about that too much. So bring that down to around a 28 when you do some drifting, and you should be good to go. Here's a 21 that would work right here. And then when it comes down to your lures, I found that normally Xander like white, but here they don't. They actually like red here. So this red maggot right here will work really well. The Lens Minnow 80005 will work really well. This one I found works really well. It's like a crimson red, or a crimson red, that's the same thing. A metallic red, the Shad 3005, that'll work here. Also your quicker 4.5007s will work here. The 004s, I got 2 of those, as you can tell. I really like those. Sometimes the 6 will work here. You can even get them off of these big bad boys right here. Okay, so but I highly suggest red. Red really works here for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why. So this is a nice little Xander / catfish rig setup that works actually really well, and you can drift with it too. That's what's really cool about it. Next, we're going to talk about your light jigging and your light drifting. Now, I've got a few examples here. This one is my medium light rod. As you can see, the test on it is 3 grams to 15. So what I've done is I've made it so my hook is around the same weight, as well as any weights that I may purchase and use on this type of setup. Now, keep in mind, this is a wacky rig. Now, when you get here for the first time, everybody's going to say, use a wacky rig, or use a Texas rig. Guess what? You're not going to have them opened, because the fact of the matter is Skills, spin fishing, and your wacky rig is right here. Your Texas rig is after it. Your Carolina is after that. So the 2 that you might have open, you might have the drop shot, the 3-way. Don't use the drop shot. They're not really for drifting. You can use the 3-way rig, or you can use the jigging rig. So when it comes down to, once you get the actual, once you actually get the wacky rig set up, this is kind of the way that you want to set it up. You around a 3.75, get it just above your test right here. 3, 4, if you're on a medium light. If you're on a light, same thing. If you're on an ultralight, same thing. Your hook's probably around drifting. You're going to want around size medium to a size 6. And your hooks can have a lot of different masses. Look how many there are up here. Now, if you wanted to go for super large hooks and super weighted hooks, then you can do that. The thing is when it comes to drifting, you're going to want a lighter rod. Now, if you want, you can have a heavier rod. Like you could use a rod like the heavy right here, this one, the 40 to 120 gram, 15 kilogram express fishing heavy. The problem with drifting with these is when you're fishing for the lighter fish, when you're just testing them out, these don't register very well that there's a fish on. So you could be dragging a fish the entire river and not realize you have a fish on. Okay, that's why I highly suggest, if you're going to be if you're going to be going for the light fish, which you probably will, you probably want around a 3.7 gram hook, and you're going to want around a medium 8 or a medium 6. Okay, when it comes down to your medium 8 and medium 6, you can do medium 10s if you want. If you want to go a little bit lower, but you have to understand that when it comes down to your jigging rigs, size matters. Right, ladies? Okay, so small 16 to a medium 6 on the hook size, and then when you get up to the 4.5s, if you want to go for bigger fish or use bigger lures, you're at a medium 6 to a large 3. Okay, so you have to understand that when it comes down to your sizes down here, you know, a medium 8 is probably what you want to go for, and then you want to use these nasty worms 2.5. All right, now I had a buddy who messaged me yesterday, or the day before, and the day before. Here's his name. I can't pronounce that. I don't know why people make things so hard for me to pronounce. VJJ. We're not going to go any further with that. There's his name right there. He suggested a couple of different worms. The Redman Nasty Worm 2.5006 and 004. This one right here, the Stinky Stick 2.00. Wait, was it the Redman Nasty? Where is it? Right here, this one, Nasty Worm 2.5004 and 006. I tried them both. They are working fantastically. I've been fishing this place for the last 4 days preparing for this video. Okay, so when it comes down to your light rigs, you're going to probably use something like this if you're opening up the wacky rig. Now, if you're not opening up the wacky rig, you're going to want to drop down to a regular jig or a 3-way. I swear I turned that flashlight off one more time. Here's another setup for a wacky rig right here. This is an even lighter setup. As you can see, 6.2 kilogram fluorocarbon leader. The 3.5 kilogram braided line, you can use a 5 kilogram braided line, medium 8, medium 6 hooks. That'll work here. I think I've got a slightly bigger 7.2 kilogram up here. I know that these sizes work. It'll work all the way up to a 9 kilogram because I float fish with a 9 kilogram fluorocarbon line. So the braided 7.2 will definitely work here, and I've been using it, so I know it works here. 6.2 kilogram on this one. Now, if you don't have wacky rig opened up, 3-way rig. This is one that you can try. Now, with the 3-way rig, this is what the 3-way rig basically is. You've got a weight at the end of it, and then you've got your plastic lure on a separate leader completely. This allows the weight to be dragged on the bottom of the river, but as it's dragging, this is going to be flapping behind it. So it's going to be causing a lot of movement. This is actually really good to fish with. You can definitely try this. If you do decide to go with this, I highly suggest using a mass of around 3.5 with your sinker. Because what you're going to be doing is, this is the Express Fishing Corona. This is literally the beginner rod that I'm using. You can definitely use that here because the fish are fairly small. So the test is 2 to 10, and I'm using a 3.1. I'm using a 3.5 kilogram or gram drop shot sinker, and that is perfect for the test for this. They get bigger. They get much bigger, all the way up to 28 grams. Sometimes I'll jig with a 28 gram one. Okay. If you're using the 3-way on zander fishing or catfish fishing, then you may want to use the 28 gram if you're going with the 3-way jig on a heavier set. Okay, so as you can see, 3.1 kilograms, super small, every 3.5 kilogram braided line. And with this, you're going to start using the offset hooks with your 3-way rig. These are great, but it's the same exact thing. If I'm on an 8, if I pull this up, I can't use any of these larger rigs. These are regular jigs, plastic lures. Okay, these are the regular ones like the maggots and stuff. If I switch this to a 6, now I open up all of these. 6 works. It's fine. It'll work for you, but it's a little bit big in my opinion, especially when you're getting down to the quicker 4.5s. So is there something better that you could do? Yes, there absolutely is. If we change this over to a jigging rig, go to a classic leader. What was our classic leader? 3.1 jig head. Here, what you can do is you can go into a jig head with a medium 6 or a medium 8. So if I go into a medium 8, I can't use any of these. If I go into a medium 6, I can now use them all. But is there something that I could use with the medium 8 so I'm using a smaller plastic lure? Yes, there is. That's why I'm camped over here by the tackle store. Come up to here, go into your lures, go into your soft water plastic. None of these work except for this one. This one is where this will start to work. You can use this on a 18 to medium 6. So this one will work here. And this one right here is the one, if you want to try this technique out using a smaller hook, this is what I highly suggest right here, is the quicker 3s. This will be used between a small 18 and a medium 6, so you can use it with an 8. The colors that I suggest, always go with pink on any river when it comes to jigging, because for some reason they always like pink. You can always go with a white one, and sometimes you can go with these darker colors. Maybe you can go with an actual worm color. So I would try, if it was me trying this, I would try this one here. I would try this one here. I would 100% try this one here. I'd probably try this one on two different rods, and I may try this one here. Others that you could actually try, if you go down to, where is it? It's right here. The minnow, is it the 40 or 30? Minnow 40. These will work with those smaller hooks, the size 8 hooks. Okay. White, be careful of, because Volga Zander as well as regular Zander like them. Red, be careful of that as well, but you can catch Volga Zander with these. And you could try some of these colors as well if you want to try with super small hooks. The Twister 30s as well, I would go for like this color right here. I don't know if it's orange or red. I think it's red. I'm colorblind. I don't know. And then I would definitely try going with a lighter color like this. Okay. And maybe one of these colors, maybe possibly this color. So there are lighter plastic lures you could try with like a size 8 hook. But most times you're probably just going to say, you want to say, screw it, you know what, let's just go with a 6, throw on a 6, and then you can use all of these, and you can still pretty much catch those fish. It's just that their bite rate might be a little bit lower. Okay. Bottom fishing rigs. Let's pick up some of these. Let's talk about bottom fishing rigs. With bottom fishing, you need to be kind of careful out here. Now, most of the time, you guys have probably come out from Volkov and like Quarry Lake and was like, oh yeah, well, I've got a bottom fishing rig for burbot. And your bottom fishing rig for burbot is going to be something akin to this right here. 19 kilograms, maybe around a 40 gram cage, 15 kilogram line, 6 hook, and nature worms. Right now, night crawlers are working big time when it comes down to burbot and wild carp. You can use this here, yes, but I'm not recommending it fully. What I am recommending is something like this. This is a fairly large setup that you probably should have at least close to. You should have around a Model 1 feeder rod when you're leaving Volkov and you're getting here. You should have the Beluga Nargas. The reason I'm offering this as a suggestion is because the wild carp here are nasty. If you guys haven't fought wild carp yet, they can be fairly nasty fish. They're basically one of the hardest fighting carp in my opinion. So they can get up to 28 kilograms. If you're actually looking on this river itself, 20, nope, that's a Zander. 25, they get up, I've seen them get up pretty big here, so 25 kilograms. I've hooked into one of these before, but it was like an 18 kilogram. That thing just pulled me all over this river, okay? So I'm highly suggesting that if you're going to fish here, expect to hook into a wild carp at night when you're going for burbot. Plain and simple, especially if you're using night crawlers. If you're using fish pieces, then that's a different story. You're probably not going to be hooking into a wild carp, but for the most part, use the worms as of right now because the worms have been working really, really well for me. This is a burbot mix that I use. You can use it or not. I would take out the bloodworms, I would take out the maggots, and I would just use chopped worms and fish oil. This works great. Burbot are simple. Totally fine. If you don't want to use a cage, you don't have to use around 40 or 50, sinker. But the reason I'm saying this is because your 28 kilogram leaders, your 28 kilogram lines, 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 28 if you hook into one of those 25 to 30 kilogram freaking wild carp, then you're going to want to have the bigger stuff here. If you want to take the chance, you can go with a lighter setup like this, but it's up to you. So I think I've gone over most of the rigs. When it comes down to jigging off of the bank, something like this works great. Basically, the reason I told you to do this type of a setup with this type of a mass of hooks and stuff like that is because you can literally park the boat, get off the boat, and jig from the beach or the bank with this type of stuff. Okay, I have jigged here with the linear. This is my Belaya River setup, and it works great. Every now and then you may hook into possibly a Xander or possibly a pike, but for the most part you'll be okay with this. So what we're going to do is, it's daytime now, we're going to move down here, and I think I'm going to wait for a minute to get a little bit lighter so you guys can see a little bit better. So we'll be right back. Okay, so this area right here is one of my favorite places to fish. One, it is right by town, right there, literally down the road or down the river. It's right there. You can run back to town if you want to. You can come back out here. I like to jig here, and I like to bottom fish here. Now, what I like to bottom fish here for is burbot, but I also get a lot of wild carp when I do that, and I do really, really well at night. And I'm actually going to show you two areas. One is right where we're at now, and the other one is right over here, dropping off the edge into this 6-meter hole. Now, when it comes down to all of the places here that I like to bottom fish, usually it's kind of all the same, just these deep holes, 7-3, 6, 4-5, 6-5. You can try some of these other places in between, but for the most part, your best bet is going to be one of these if you're looking for burbot, or if you're looking for like wild carp. Okay, here's your warning. Your second warning: records, weekly, USA. Let's just go to Seversky Donets. Where is it? Black Sea Beluga. Yeah, 488 kilograms. You're probably not going to be ripping into one of these unless you're doing feeder fishing. Okay. Your next one is your Russian sturgeon. Russian sturgeon up to 55 kilograms. You can hook them on a night crawler. I did so myself. I hooked into one. I was under geared. I was using the Adriatic, a 7.5 kilogram reel, and I hooked into a 15 kilogram sturgeon. It took me over an hour to get in. So you can do that here if you want to do that here. If you want to do Russian sturgeon fishing or whatever, and you got the rig for it and stuff, just be aware that you might eventually hook into one. More than likely, you probably won't. I've only hooked into one once ever when I was here. Okay, so just heads up. And when it comes down to the wild carp are nasty. They are some of the strongest carp fighters when it comes down to all the carps. You can hook them onto night crawlers and they get upwards of 25 kilograms. So be aware of that. That's why I'm reiterating, this is why the setup that I'm giving you is this type of setup right here. With this one, for burbot or for wild carp, you're going to aim directly at the 6. Okay, as you can see on the other side there, on the other side there, you've got that bank over there. You're going to aim right there. Okay, and you're going to go ahead and throw it onto, I usually do about a 40. You can do up to a 45, but I do about a 40 clip on this bad boy, and I just huck that thing way out there. And you can do it out there. And then the second place you can actually do it is, second place you can actually cast, I'm just going to use this for demonstration purposes, is right at the end of the 6 right here, right between these two weeds over here. Go ahead and pop that out there at about 40 clip. Okay, once you do that, just go ahead and sit back, relax, have a good time. You never know what's going to happen. Burbot start at 2300. They can go a little bit earlier in that if you want them to, but for the most part, that's basically this spot over here. Now, I like doing this because I like bottom fishing here, and then I grab my Super Duty, my Beluga, and I grab my favorite I pick this bad boy up and I make sure that there's no clip on it, and then I just go ahead and I try to hit as far as I can over to this bank over here, and I do jigging for Xander. So I'll catch Xander here, I will catch burbot here, and I'll catch wild carp all at once. And then I'll go ahead and throw this around 30, 35 clip. We'll go ahead and do a 35, or not clip, but do a 35 clip. You do a one rotation jig step. If you have any problems getting your jig step, do a 2 rotation. No problem at all. You can get Xander. I've got trophy Xander out of here before. It's been awesome. And this is one of my favorite places to fish. If you want a second one, I would try doing the 7-3 hole. It's a little bit closer to this side, but it works fairly well. Let's go over to the second spot that I want to show you, and it is literally this exact same spot we're at, but it's on the other side, because you're going to catch more fish if you go to the other side. I think a lot of people stick to this side of the river thinking they can cast anywhere they want, but there is something in the game that where if you try to fish holes at different angles, you can actually catch more fish at different angles. Okay, so if I had a recommendation on where to fish here, it would be right here. For burbot, wild carp, and whatnot. Now, I'm sure there's other places on here that might be hot for wild carp right now. As of right now, this place for wild carp, it's very, very slow. You'll get them occasionally, but for burbot at night, it's really, really hot. In fact, I'm going to go ahead. First, I'm going to show you how to do this real quick. This is just very simple. Let's grab this right here. We're going to pick this up. We're going to put our clip to 10. Now the reason I'm doing, whoopsie, wrong direction. The reason I'm doing 10 is because basically this 6-meter hole acts really weird when you cast out to it. When you get to your 10 clip, it's going to stop and it's going to start floating down. But your 10 clip is going to keep it from the line, stop the line from coming out. So you have to hit enter a couple of times real quick. 2 trees right here will stop you, bump up against them, as you can see. Get up there and make sure that you're in about the center of the hole, right about there. Go ahead and cast out. 10 clip, it'll stop, and then hit enter, and then enter again to reopen it and put the rod down. Now here's what's going to happen. If you don't do it this way and you press Y, I'm going to close the clip. What's going to happen is it's going to start pulling the tip of your rod down, because it hasn't fully floated to the bottom yet. Okay, so I have to hit K and I open it back up. I let it float. Yeah, it may pull a little bit of line down the road or down the river, but that's fine. It's not that big of a deal. Where is my other one? So we're going to do the other one here, and you're going to do with this one. I highly suggest no jigging. All 3 of your rods at night. You know, cast out here and just wait for it. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what happens. Let's see if it'll do it this time. It'll start bending the tip of the rod because it hasn't floated all the way to the bottom yet. It's not going to do it because it's on the video. Okay, so I'm going to pop up a little bit of a clip, and it shows you I'm actually fishing here. And this was actually last night. I was fishing here one night. That's it. And I caught all these burbots and a few catfish, as well as a few wild carp. So this can be a very hot spot right here. So this is definitely a place that I highly suggest coming if you decide, oh hey, you know, you want to do a little bit of burbot fishing, or even try for some wild carp. Wild carp here aren't really super active. There's got to be somewhere else on this river right now that's super active with wild carp. It's just not right here. Okay, so when it comes to drifting, I'm kind of a little bit different than a lot of people. A lot of people, when they drift, they will have the boat spun around to where the front of the boat is actually facing downstream. I do not do that. Why? Because on the front of your boat, that's where your anchor is attached. And if you allow your front of your boat to go upstream, when your anchor catches, when you drop it, what it actually will do is it will actually spin the tail end of your boat around. So when it catches, it'll spin the tail end of your boat around, so it's actually facing which way the tide is, or which way the river is flowing. Now it's actually taking a minute. You see this? Now it's caught, and as you can see, watch the arrow, it's starting to slowly turn to where it's facing which way the river is drifting. Okay, and that makes it a little bit easier for me to kind of control what's going on. I'll just drift for a little while, and then I'll just drop the anchor and let the tail end spin around, and then I'll just pick up the anchor. I won't have to you know, pick up the anchor and drive around and reposition myself. I just kind of do it this way. But you got to get used to how the river moves. Over here, you'd be thinking that I'll go right through the 7-meter hole, right? But I won't, because I'm too far to the right. I have to be way over here for me to actually go through that. So I'm actually going to be clipping the corner of it right here. Okay, so when I fish, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to pull out. This is for the jig, the Xander. With this, you don't have to go cast very far. 50%, 60%, you're done. Okay. The second one is the light setup. This is the medium light. As you can see, I've got one of the recommended by Z. We're going to call him Z. One of the recommended worms on here, the 004. We're going to pick that bad boy up. Little 50-60%. You don't have to go far. As long as it touches the ground, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and put it down, and then I just go ahead and release the boat, pick up the anchor, and we're just going to drift. Now this spot that I'm actually at right here, all through here, all through here, all out here, this is a great spot for Xander, for catfish, and if you're doing the light fishing like this one, you can get your small fish. Now, what kind of fish can you get? Well, you can get Pontiac shads. Now that Pontiac shads, to me, sounds like you should be pulling a car out of the freaking river. But no, it's actually a small fish. You can get Sichel, which are fantastic. You can get Clumpanella. I can't pronounce it. It starts with the C. Maybe I'll catch one and I'll show you guys a picture or something. But you can get those here. You can get Sunfish doing this. The fact of the matter is you get a lot of fish when you're doing this small fish fishing, or fishing. That's a lot of fishing in one word. This small rig fishing, and you can get a very high bite rate. Sometimes people have claimed, you know, 50, 60, 70, even 100 fish in one day. So you can definitely do something like that. As you can see, I'm not getting anything on my Xander. My Xander might be something there. But yeah, so that's basically it. That's all drifting is. Right here, I'm going to be trying this quite a bit, probably the next couple of days. I'm also going to stop right here, and I'm also going to be casting down here and jigging with a light jig, because I think there's a buttload of Xander Volga, or Volga Xander in here. Okay, I have floated this whole thing. Lot of light small fish through here, catfish around here, catfish Xander around here, Volga Xander around here. Come down here, fish this. This is a royal pain in the butt, this turn, so I don't even fish it. I just skip it and I just come right here. And then I've tried down here too. I haven't really caught anything down here. I think this down here is more for bottom fishing, but this is basically all drifting is. This is all it is. And then every now and then you drop your anchor, let your boat tail spin around, and that's it. This is all it is. Okay, super simple. You guys have already got the rigs. You guys have already got the know-how. Let's go ahead and just skip over to jigging. I changed my mind. I don't want to show you off jigging from the bank because it's getting dark, and I want to get up to this. This is my Balinese rod setup. This is way bigger than what you need, but as you can see, I've got a 9.3 kilogram fluorocarbon leader or line. You can use a 7 or a 6 kilogram line. That's fine. This is way more than I need here. 10 kilograms, 9.5, way more than I need. Okay, I got this specifically to fish here. Okay, my depth is going to be between 80 and 120. I believe right now they're actually catching at 120. Hit M. You can use this. You can do this on telestick rods. Okay, this is the pizza resistance of Seversky Donets, or if you want to be super French, pizza resistance of Seversky Donets. Okay, it is why I come here, the float fishing. So I'm right here. I'm just starting at this 4-meter hole right here. Okay, and you see this reflection that's open right here, no trees or anything. I aim for that. Okay, so basically what I do is I do about a 50, 60, 70, 80%. Nope. I think I've got a clip on it. Nope, no clip. Why is it not? Oh, it's because I've got a lighter. here's the rig, the ROG setup. Usually I have like a 7 gram, a 7 gram float on here. I changed it to a 3 gram so you guys could afford it. And I forgot that you're going to need to do a little bit longer of a cast. So let's go ahead and go up to a 90 or 80, 90% cast. And you kind of want to hit that or have it float through there. Like I said, 120 right now is kind of the depth that I found that they're biting at. This is where you get your Sichel. This is where you can get your chlamydia, clumpanella, whatever they're called, Pontiac shads. Oh, there we go. This, when it rains, this spot is amazing. Now it could go dead any time. There, look, I pulled a car out of there. It could go dead anytime, but that's okay because you have this whole section to try out right here. And this is highly, highly recommended by me to try anywhere out in here. You'll probably get some really good float fishing. The float fishing here can get manic, like it can get crazy good. Right here off of the dock too. Just right off the dock, right off the boat dock right here, you can get lots of Sichel up there. Lots of, what are they called? Pumpkin seed, sunfish, that's what they're called. You got a nice fast float here. If they're biting super fast, then you get one every single cast. Every single cast. If it's raining, they'll bite even harder. Okay. When it goes to nighttime, then it goes completely dead. So that first place that I showed you guys to do some bottom fishing, that's the one. It's just right up the bank here. Go to there, fish there during the night, and then come back down here and do your float fishing. I got a good 20 levels just doing this here, and it's because there are so many different species of fish here. You can get ruds, roaches, chubs, clumpanella or chlamydia, whatever they're called, white bream, regular bream. I mean, you name it, you can get it here, and it's awesome float fishing. And usually it's right about, there we go, there's another one. See, it can get pretty fast up here. So this is an awesome place to float fish. There's a Pontiac shad. But like I said, if you want a lot of Sichel or sunfish, fish right out into here, right off of this dock right here. It's a fantastic place to fish. Right here has a lot, where we're at now has a lot of, it has a few Sichels, but it has mostly Pontiac shads. Okay, so it's actually a really good spot because let's see how fast that was. There you go. Right there, there's another one. So there's your float fishing. Now, like I said, you can do this absolutely without a doubt. You can do this with a super light beginner telly stick, no problem whatsoever. Okay, now as far as bait is concerned, nature caddisfly will work. If you want pumpkin seed sunfish, then red worms are the way to go. You can use mayfly larvae. You can use I wouldn't use bloodworm or maggots or anything. I would just use like the mayfly, stonefly. If it has the word fly in it, use it. Stonefly larvae, mayfly, regular mayflies. And it's just a fantastic place to float fish. I absolutely love float fishing here. Sometimes I'll come back here when I'm sick of like October or whatever, and I'll float fish here, and it's totally awesome. When it comes to sunfish, what you're actually looking for float fishing is you're looking for moss on top of the water. So with a sunfish, you're probably going to be looking for something like this right here. The sunfish, it's fantastic because you can go like this, switch this over to a red worm, take down your float depth to about 80 or even 60, and you want it to float just on the outside or through maybe like the outside edge. Can't even see that, man. I can't see it. I'm colorblind. You want it to float kind of through the outer edge of these mossy areas right here, and your pumpkin sunfish will come in. And the great thing about the pumpkin sunfish is you can get trophies from these bad boys. Like, serious, there's a Sichel right there. Awesome. You can get trophies from these, and most importantly, you can get on the rankings. You can get, you can get records for them, and they're super easy to get. Just be patient. So your sunfish are in these little areas right here. Now I'm going to give you another little tip on your sunfish, on the sunfish. Before we talk about jig, I'm going to wait till tomorrow to talk about jigging. I'm going to head down to the end of this 4-5 hole right here, and we're going to spin fish. Yeah, I said spin fish. Seversky Donets is not known for its spin fishing, to be honest with you. It says it's 4 stars, but it's not. It's like 1 stars. The only thing you really catch here most of the time is maybe a little bit of roach, maybe a little bit of chub, pikes, and perch. And I have a hard time getting like over 3 kilograms with pikes. So yeah, it's not the greatest, but we're going to go down here. We're going to spin fish, and we're going to spin fish for pumpkin seed sunfish, which is just crazy because they usually don't bite like that. Okay, and we are back, and we are at my little sunfish area. There you go, pumpkin seed sunfish. Oh, they're so pretty. Okay, so the great thing about pumpkin seed sunfish is people used to only fish for them with floats. That's simple. Floats and redworms, okay? Then recently people started trying to use spinners on them. Now, basically my spinner setup is just like it would be on Belaya. I'm using a little bit smaller of a leader just to make sure they are a fairly small fish, but Siemens Biker 2, yet again, ladies and gentlemen, you can also get them on the Hunter 1. Let me see if I can find it. Not the Hunter, the Hornet. That's what it is. The Hornet 1009 and 1007. I've caught them on those two as well. And I'm just doing a nice slow 16 retrieval speed. And you can do, you do the stop jig, stop and go jig. You can do the speed up, slow down, everything else. Now this is just kind of a quick little area that I found just late last night that it was actually fairly active, and it's just right down here. As you can see, it's down on the 159, 125, and I've caught quite a few sunfish here. I've also caught a little bit of chub and stuff like that. But the great thing about it is if float fishing isn't working and you're trying to get sunfish, now I'm talking about sunfish because there are cafe orders for these guys, and the cafe orders for all of these fish, these small tiny fish, they add up. If you just keep at it, keep going with it, they add up eventually. Okay, but the great thing about the sunfish is because all of their areas are the same and they're actually biting on, floats, and they're biting on spinners. What I could actually do is, I'm not catching anything on the spinner, then I can just go ahead and say, okay, well, let's just go ahead and do this, and we'll just switch this over. I'm going to switch over to a wacky. You could switch over to a regular jig. Just switch over to a wacky, classic leader, 3.1, loaded hook, take it down to an 8. You could even go lower than an 8, and then maybe use like the 205006. Is the 4 available? There it is right there. Pick that one up. There you go. You just switched over to the wacky rig if you're doing a wacky rig. If not, I do a long cast. You really don't need to. And I speed it up to about a 25. And I just do a single rotation jig, and that's all I need. And they'll bite on the jigs, they'll bite on the floats, and they'll bite on the spinners, and you can just sit here and enjoy it. And then as you're floating and as you're spinning and jigging and stuff, all of these small fish, they add up, and you can go turn them all in for cafe orders, and those cafe orders are fantastic. They really, really are awesome. So there's one more place that I want to talk to you guys. There's a Nace. One more place that I want to talk to you guys about. There you go, a couple of sunfish right there. And that's this spot over here. If you guys are feeling nostalgic for Oldberg, maybe just a little bit, you want some carp, maybe possibly some carp, some gibble, some crushing, maybe some tench. Maybe you want to go for some tench. Let's head over here. Dear devs, please allow my player's shadow to swing his arms. His speedrunning is freaking me out. Look at that. That is so freaky. Okay, where are we at? We're almost here. Okay, so this spot over here is actually your tench / carp / gibble bream area. Now, one of the best spots that I've actually found, I believe, is on the other side. Of course it would be on the other side, because why wouldn't it be on the side that I'm actually on? So as you can see over here, there is a ton of carp spots. Gibble, crushing, I haven't really caught any like common carp out here, but I have caught tench, and as you can see, there is a ton of really good spots over here. One of the best spots one of the best spots I found is actually, if you were to follow I don't remember where it is. as you say, if you were to follow a specific path, I believe it's over. Nope, I passed it. Son of a gun. Okay, so you're going to be following a path that comes down this way. You're probably going to be coming from over here, and you're going to be coming down this way. You're going to stick to the water to the right. You're going to stick to the left of the water. Right over here, there's this low tree, and you're going to sit right here. Now you see that tuft of bush right there? That's where your tench is probably going to be. So go ahead and fish in there for your tench. You know, what are they fighting on now? They're not biting on cheese anymore. I think they're biting on red worms. Not red worms. Is it red worms? It might be red worms. Regular worms, night crawlers, and dough, honey dough. I think they're also biting on honey dough. So you may want to try casting in there a little bit. If you want bream, you can go in, and your bream are just literally on the other side of this moss here. So just go ahead and do a quick little small toss. Right about there is about perfect, and you can catch bream in here. Okay? So, tench, bream, gibble, crushing, semolina for gibble and crushing, bream. You've got... Where's the baits? The baits for the bream, you've got bloodworms, sometimes maggots, not very often. But you can do garlic dough for the bream, as well as pea porridge. Where's my pea porridge? Pearl barley will work very well. Pea porridge will work for your bream out here. And then, you know, whatever tench are biting on, you guys can try that out. If you learned something, and you like the video, hit the like button. If you didn't, don't hit it. Just make sure no matter what you do, subscribe. Make sure to finger my bell so you get notified when I put a new video out. Keep gaming, keep doing it midnight. Have a blast. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care. Have a good one. And bye-bye.